Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Novel Nana. I'm Bex. Here on this channel, we talk about everything writerly related. So if that interests you, stick around, consider subscribing. Today's video is part 5 of the AuthorTube or author collab in co-writing. So today's video, we're addressing the most common question that I got, which was how? How do you do it? So this is not the end all be all, but I'm going to provide you with one or two examples today of how this might look. So I have a board over here and I'm just going to kind of read off of it and hopefully we'll get through this pretty quickly. Okay, so you found a collab partner. Now what? That is the common question that I keep getting. So first of all, you're going to solidify your story. And what I mean by this is going to be a process where the two of you, either on a phone call or through email or face to face, you're going to sit down and you're going to brainstorm your ideas. You're going to brainstorm and discuss. Pretty much the outline, the timeline, things about your story and the story elements that are going to provide you with specific points where you can agree. And this may be the who or your characters, the why, like their motives, the where the story is taking place, or where your characters might meet. This is going to include the how, like how does it turn out, or how do they come to meet. This is going to be the when, like the time frame in which your story will take place, or in which your characters will meet. If they meet. And are they going to be foes, or are they going to be lovers or best friends, or whatever the case may be? This is where you're going to nail down those specifics for your story. You're also going to discuss and brainstorm the what. Also, any plot beats, any subplots. This could include a romantic storyline. Depending on the genre, you're going to discuss what tropes you might want to include and where you see the story going. Now, after you have solidified each of these things and discussed them thoroughly and brainstormed your ideas, you're going to pick out the parts that both of you can agree upon, and then you're going to move on to free writing and discovery. Now, in this stage, you're going to keep in mind your timeline and your outline for your story. Now, this is where you're also going to decide on the narrative and the POV. And if you are, maybe one partner is stronger in world building, so maybe they take care of the world building, or maybe you divide it. It's up to you. Maybe one is better at character or dialogue. These are all things that you need to consider beforehand. So, anyhow, if you decide to just do it straight down the middle and say both of you get a character, and maybe your story, you have decided, it starts here, something big's going to happen here, and then here's the end. And somewhere along those lines, with inside of that time frame, maybe this is where you're going to agree upon certain elements of the story, or introducing that subplot or that romantic beeline story. Anyway, whatever the case may be, this is where you're going to free write and discover the story from your own POV. You're going to insert your style, and you're also going to really dig deep into your creative well and make sure that you are telling the story so it's going to be cohesive with what your partner, your collab partner, is also working towards. Now, here's the thing, guys, that a lot of people don't understand. You can still have very different ideas, but agree upon the main idea. Because if you have a story, say it's an adventure type story, okay, and maybe it has a side plot of a romantic element to it, you're still going to be able to tell the story from this person, and then you're going to have that intersection where they meet. So this part of the story has to be solidified ahead of time, like plot beats. So this is where your characters are going to come together. So then when they get together, it has to be cohesive, okay? It has to be something that is agreed upon ahead of time on how this part is going to look. Now, you may think, Okay, well, however I decide to get there, as long as we get there, we're good, right? So that's something that you need to make sure that both of you are comprehending and understanding, what's going to lead up to this moment, this intersection. And you can have these intersections all throughout your story. So one can be writing their part of the story. Maybe they're going on one leg of their journey, and maybe the other one is going on their own adventure, but somewhere along the story, these characters will interact. Okay, and I'll go into more of that in a minute. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to try to keep it quick and just kind of march through these little plot lines that I have, or these bullet points, sorry, that I have already written over here. So the next thing, you're going to really use your style, using your strength and your talent, and the agreed upon story elements to kind of brainstorm your session. And this is what I would suggest, really honing in on your strengths as a writer, knowing what those strengths are and knowing where you are weak. Because this, if you are honest with yourself and with your collab partner, your story is going to be much better for it, because you can openly communicate and say, I'm not so great at this. So when I get to this point in, my section of the story, I'm going to need your help a little bit. Okay, so it's really about knowing where you stand as a writer and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, so you can kind of help one another out. Okay, you're also going to include any of the agreed upon tropes that you might want in your story. And this could, depend upon the genre. There are some genres that have expected tropes, so just keep that in mind. Any predetermined plot beats and subplots, this is where you're going to throw those out to be brainstormed upon. And then you're going to work through your part of the work, whatever it may be, whatever you've agreed upon ahead of time, who's going to be, responsible for what parts of this writing project. Then you're going to melt those together, work out any of the issues that you may have or any inconsistencies. And this is until the story is cohesive and you're both satisfied with the outcome. Now, here's how this might look. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see this exactly, but I'm going to try to explain it the best that I can. So, I have written up here, I'm hoping you can see that. I do have a line drawn from the beginning over here. Let's see if I can do it this way. It's backwards. So this main black line that runs all the way through, this is going to be your story. The beginning of the story, the end of the story. Now, let's say you have both co-authors here, and they have chosen to write a character each. So within the story, we know that this character may start off high and goes, through their ups and downs all the way to the end of the story. The same can be said for character B, or the other co-authors part of the story for that character. Now, they're going to start at the same place, and as you see, they're all, going all the way through the story. Now, here's the kicker, guys. So you are going to be free writing, if that's what you've agreed upon for each character. You will free write for each character all the way through to the end of your timeline or your rough outline. But when you see the intersections have, or when you see that the lines have crossed or intersected, you're going to go ahead and let's circle all the points in which the two characters have overlapped. So in these cases, as I hope that you guys can see this, in these cases, this is where you're going to have to make sure that you are consistent and that your story elements here are cohesive between the two characters, because you don't want to maybe say one thing like, maybe one of you have reached a part in your journey where they've come through the woods and they've reached a brook, okay? But if it's supposed to happen here and you have the other character in the city, then obviously it's not consistent. So as long as you are free writing for each of your characters and knowing where they are going in the story, just keep keep in mind that there are going to be places within the story that your characters will overlap. Now, when they overlap, this is the point when you come together and you kind of swap your stories, or your portion of the story. This is the time to do that. So you will see where the other person has wrote up to that point. And this is where each point you will make sure that both characters are where they are supposed to be and the surroundings are what they are supposed to be. Okay, so anyway, these should be the agreed upon plot points or plot beats within the story. So when you are first sitting down to brainstorm with someone and collab, or starting that discussion and brainstorming, make sure that you have a timeline and an outline roughly, to know where each character is heading, and also to know where each character will be intersecting or overlapping with the other characters, so as to keep your story cohesive and consistent from beginning to end. Now, the last point that I will touch on, because this video is getting pretty long, I don't know if you can see this, we'll try to hold it up here. Now, the orange section here, this could be where a subplot comes in, okay? So whatever the case this may be, you want to make sure whatever you've agreed upon for that subplot to be, make sure that you have shown it into your rough outline timeline. That way the other person can keep in mind when this subplot is taking place. Also, if you want to include maybe another element, so this is the green, where you see the green has run all the way through. Maybe this is where, your characters have met. Maybe down here they've started to fall for one another. And so this green line right here could be their love story or the subplot of the story. But anyway, I hope that this helps you guys in some way. Anyway, I hope that it did. And if you do have any more questions, just be sure to leave me a comment below. I know this video was long. I do hope that I have shared some sort of example that you will be able to, adapt and use for your story and your co-authoring experience. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks again for watching. I do so appreciate each and every one of you. If you like this type of video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and ding that bell. It'll notify you the next time that I upload. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, happy writing. Bye, guys.